live with our first VO Journey Academy live. I apologize up front with my voice. I get a little sick and allergies and stuff, but it's coming back slowly.
You just sound a
And
little verklempt. It's fine.
yes, that's right. Just a little verklempt. It is good to be here, and we are. Let's see. I want to introduce myself. My name is Anthony, and of course, I am accompanied by amazing Gabby. And
Hello.
yeah, we're Gabby. We're putting on a show.
So we're not just putting on a show. We're allowing life to life while we put on this show, right? Like who knows what's going to happen. It's been brought to our attention more than a few times both together and separately, right? Everybody kind of wants that sneak peek into the life of a voice actor. What's going on? What do we deal with? What sorts of day-to-day challenges? And so we're going to show you. We're just going to do
Oh
this
yeah,
every day, every single day.
that's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's crazy.
As my dog on cue is squeaking his toy in the background. Perfect. Perfect.
Absolutely. And if you guys are joining us, please feel free to leave a hello, say hello. We have kind of a chat feature. We are putting this on. This is our first day, of course. So, we will get better at all of this. But we do have that ability. So this is a great opportunity to say hello to us, tell us where you're from, and as always, we're always more than open to answering any question that you have
Yeah.
about voiceovers. So I think that's going to be something really exciting. It was funny because when Gabby came to me and had this idea, I
Did
was
I
like,
have this
"Oh,
idea? I don't
you
think
did
this
have
was
this
my
idea. It
idea.
was your
No.
idea. I'm blaming you." But it was, one of those things where I had done some lives way back when. Some of you, I don't know if you're still following since then. Remember, I used to do lives pretty regularly, but never. I don't think I ever had done lives every day of the week, which is
Mm,
which is our plan. We are going to try to be so. I think that's really exciting, to say the least, just because I think it will be a really, just like you said, a unique situation that you all will be able to tap in to see what this is like on a daily basis.
for sure. Monday through Friday. We're gonna make a valiant effort to be here every single day.
Oh yeah.
Who knows? Life might happen, and there may be days that we have to skip, unfortunately. But each day we want to kind of talk a little bit about what happened the day before, or maybe a particular challenge that we're dealing with that day, and just kind of help to give more of that insight into what in the world this career is really like. And it's kind of funny, right? Because I'm not even technically in my studio in my actual voiceover booth. That's a
Hmm.
separate. I have two booths. I have my video booth and I have my audio booth. Um but it still gives you a really good sense of just all the oddities and the kind of ADD that I
Oh
think
yeah.
we deal with on a day-to-day basis in this
Hmm.
business.
And that's a good thing to just right off the top of my head. I'm in the same situation, so I have kind of I call it my editing station,
Yeah.
or where I produce more, the videos and things we're doing now, and then I have my recording space, my recording studio, where I go in there and record. And early on when I started, it was all one and the same. You
Oh, did
know,
you live in the dark little room?
I did well. I had, and I to this day I don't remember the gentleman. It was a video I had seen about 9 years ago, and it was him setting up a little PVC pipe booth in his
Mm,
attic. And I thought, oh wow, okay, well, because my house at the time,
that
it was
sounds like
just
a
my
Dan Leonard thing.
my well, it wasn't him.
Oh, okay.
It was some,
Okay.
and it wasn't voiceover. It was for something else.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
it was like creating something with better acoustics, right?
Mm,
So
mhm.
I had seen this, and I didn't have, we had a very small house, so there wasn't spaces like in a closet or anything like that. We only had about 4 rooms in the whole house, total like four just rooms. And it was my wife's and our starter home. And we had our computer in one room. And it was on a desk. So I decided I would build this PVC pipe and packing blanket
Right.
fort around it to build my little home studio. And with my
Mm-hmm.
computer, I had some headphones, and at the time I didn't have a microphone. So, but anyways, I went to Lowe's and bought some PVC
Mm.
pipe and packing blankets, and my family said it looked like I was a hobo living in a fort, so I
Yep.
called it my hobo fort.
Hobo fort.
Yes, and
I think
that
you
ended
coined
up
that
being
phrase for sure.
what I did for a many years, was just keep everything inside my space.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, I found that it worked so much better. It was actually out of necessity, not on purpose. But down the road, I had bought a whisper room. I moved to a new house. This was years, and I was going full time. And I bought a whisper room, which is a kind of like just a big portable box,
Yeah.
that's supposed to. It's way quieter than normal, and you have to treat it. But anyways, I got this whisper room. It was a 4x6, and my goal was still to put everything in the whisper room,
Mm-hmm.
the desk, and the table, and everything. And I set up everything in there, and it sounded horrible, and I was horrified. I'd spent all this money on this whisper room, and I said everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad, because after a while, with your hobo fort or whatever, you put so much treatment in there that it becomes really wonderful
Yeah, pretty
sounding.
good.
And so I was mortified, and so I was like, I gotta do something. And I was like, okay, well, if I take this stuff out and then just try to put as much treatment in there and just have a computer monitor and a wireless mic and keyboard and then my microphone, that should work, right? But then I ran
Mm-hmm.
into an issue with, I have the Apollo Twin, and it's the Thunderbolt one. So the cable wasn't you couldn't. Here's the crazy thing with that one: you can't get longer than like a 6 foot cable because of the
Mm-hmm.
speed. And I was like, when I first, no one tells you these things, so
No.
just like all of us, right? So I'm like, it had to be really close. So I had to build it right on the other side of the whisper room. So that was the long story of how my split studio began. And ever since then, I loved it because I keep all the noise making things and everything outside of the booth,
Mm-hmm.
and everything in the booth. And that's yeah. So that's how that transition. But it never came from I was so smart. I would like to. I was so smart. I realized I needed to do too. No, it's not how it really happens a lot.
I
Right.
came out of, the broadcast fields, and man, I was so spoiled having, these big giant rooms that were fully treated. So it was your studio and it was your edit bay, and it was like all things all at one. But they were always right, very isolated within the building, and so you never had like windows. You could never see outside. Like I remember countless days leaving work and going, oh, it's raining or snowing or whatever the heck was going on outside, because you have no clue.
Right. Right.
And so when I built my first home studio, I wanted so badly to replicate that. And I was like, I can't afford this much acoustic treatment, right? To like take the entire room. So I did the closet and I kept everything separate because I knew for my own mental health and sanity, I was like, I cannot live in the little dark cave like, golem, just yeah. And so many people try to do that, and it kind of cracks me up because so many new voice actors are like, well, I built my fort, and they're editing, and I'm like, do you like staying in your little dark cave for that many hours a day? No. Run some cables under the door, please. Get
Yes.
it the hell out of there. Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
it's a live and learn kind of thing, I think, for most people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So interesting talking about that. Just windows in general.
Mm,
So, I know for me, if you happen to be in a room, I think there's just from the standpoint of a studio for everybody watching, remember a studio can be anything. A
mhm,
room is a studio. Typically, we try to find smaller spaces, I think, because it's easier to treat a smaller space,
For sure.
right? You know, the larger the room, the more you have to treat, and there's the more stuff in there and everything like that. But that doesn't mean that it can't be just in a room, all right? In general. So speaking of windows, I had in my studio where I had my whisper room and everything. There was windows right behind where I was making videos, actually. So what I ended up doing, which is cool, because I love your curtain with your logo on it behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I had for a long time. I had gotten off of Amazon.
Mm.
It was a treated, or it was a curtain that was supposed to be for acoustical
Oh, and I
purposes,
have those for sure.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
put it up on my window,
Mm-hmm.
and I had it on my window, and it worked great, and it had a microphone on it too. It was just it came the
Oh,
way it was, and yeah, right. So that
my
was
my space, the larger room, right, is technically a garage that when I bought, it was never a garage. It was always converted into, a recreational room, but it has two giant double French doors. And so all you've got is reflection and sound loss. And so I have literally this wall of these heavy duty acoustic blankets on these curtain rods that could hold a gorilla, and they run the entire length, because without those you would just hear everything from outside.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, we have so I think we have a question. Oh, that's so cool. Look, we can put the a question in the
Oh
chat.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
will
kind of
we have replays of these? I'm assuming so, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, I haven't learned yet. So again, we're gonna get better at
We're just
working.
figuring this
Right,
out.
we're figuring this out. So I think you can put. There's got to be a way to show all of comments when they come, but
Yeah.
I think you can, or at least, but I can choose. We can choose which one to put in. Well, Strange Storm had the question: will you have the chats and replay?
Hmm.
We're gonna try. It might not be this one or so, but we're gonna try to have
Yeah,
them. I think that would be a really cool thing.
it's the goal for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of something, what do you do when you don't have a voice and you have work coming in? So, speaking of normal everyday things that we as
Hmm.
voice go through, today I had someone this morning who contacted me, and they wanted a 90-second spot with a cut down of the 60, 30, and 15, and all the bells and whistles,
Hmm.
and they want the everything, the NDA, all the stuff, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm just I can't. I'm not in the polite right place with my voice, and man, that irks your chain when that stuff happens.
Mm.
Have you gone through similar
Oh God,
situations?
yes.
I mean, it really it's so nice, and then you get something like that because it's gonna pay very well,
Hmm.
and you're just not in a place. It could be your schedule,
Yeah.
could be something, but that was my morning. Ugh. Um,
So, yeah, I mean, first off, you never want to turn down work if you can avoid it.
hmm
But if you're not 100%,
yeah.
you also don't want to sacrifice your reputation, and you don't want to, deliver a subpar product. So, for me, I always go, okay, discretion of the client. And so first thing I do is I just tell them up front, I go, listen, I'm sick. I'm dealing with allergies. I lost my voice screaming at a concert the night before. I did do that in my younger days, not anymore. Um, whatever it is. And I let them decide. I'm actually surprised, like cumulatively over the years, how many people are like, "You sound fine," and I'm like, "I do." Right? That's
Yeah,
going on,
yeah.
and they're like, "No, we think you sound great," or like, it sounds like my nose has been removed from my face and I'm all sinuses.
Oh yeah. Oh
And they're
yeah.
like, "No, no, you sound great." So I've left it to their discretion many times. Now, the other thing is, if I absolutely have to, if it's a short thing, right? If it's tiny, because you can't do this for long-term stuff. I and this is not medical advice. Let's be clear about that. I will take something obnoxiously spicy, like, yeah, like a hot sauce, or like the Chinese mustard packets. Those are always
Yeah.
really good because you're like horseradish, something just that's gonna like blow my airways open just so I can get through it and
Really? I've
sound clear.
never heard of
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I know like when I go and I have something spicy, it's like,
Mhm.
"Woo," you know what really does it? Wasabi.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wasabi's
same
really
thing.
that was like you're always like, "Whoa," it clears it right up.
Mhm. Yeah, and I will suffer, and I will
It's
do
such
that
a
just
hot sauce to
but
do
it's like a
what we do for our
I
craft.
know, but it's like a minute fix though, right? Like
Right,
it
right.
only you only get maybe like a 15-20 minute window out of
That's
that.
the craziest thing. I love it.
Mhm.
I love it, but that's wild. You
It's
get
oh,
like
it's
you're like,
yeah.
"I got a window. Let's get this thing going."
Yeah, yeah, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I had a friend back in radio who used to do that, and I mean, he was like
Wow.
we used to joke that he was in the back snorting the hot mustard packets because, he was sick, and yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's great. I never tried. I did try I tried early on with voice stuff or even mouth noises.
Yeah.
I tried lemons, which is
Mhm.
so funny to me now, but you hear
Hey, they
people
work. They work for
everywhere,
some
and
people,
here's the thing,
yeah,
they work different for different people, right? Like some
for
people
sure.
works, I tried the throat coat.
Mhm.
They even, someone got wise and started putting, on there, get rid of mouth clicks on Amazon. So I tried those like lozenges and
Mhm, mhm.
all just sorts of an apple. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the idea was some acidity.
Yes.
But what happened to me is it made me worse.
Oh,
It made
wow.
me worse. Yeah, it did. And I think it was because it generates, the idea is your mouth isn't as dry,
Yeah.
right? And it's supposed to generate some saliva. But I learned early on, for me, it was a lot more nerves that caused just a lot of problems and
Oh.
focusing on it.
Mhm.
Just like anything else, you focus on your mouth, like something happened with your mouth, it's going to happen. You focus on the mouth noise and things like that.
I
So,
mean, either way, hydration is super key,
oh yeah,
and we all like, and I mean, most of us have like, our 12 cup of coffee a day habit. So, look at you with your dad fuel. I
I
love it.
know my dad fuel.
I love that mug. And, we kind of alternate between that and water and,
Yes.
just, yeah,
Oh yeah, and
constantly drinking.
well, and I was told never to drink coffee, or I mean, you see the things never drink coffee because it can make your mouth dry sometimes or different things like that.
Ooh,
But I was like, a life without coffee is just not a life worth living right now.
it's
So,
truth. It's truth.
so I learned actually the more that I did this, the less it became an issue. And then of course the right plugins help a great deal as well.
Mm,
Taking care of that. But yeah, that was quite an early on journey. But man, that should be a bumper sticker. I use hot sauce, like just to
I'm
make a bumper
serious.
sticker.
That could be.
That's
Sure, why
so
not?
good. By the way, if anybody, when you're watching and listening, if you have questions or comments or anything, please share them because we can see them.
Yeah.
We can see them. So don't be afraid to share them and ask, and we'd love to answer them. But I guess today we're kind of on this topic about our booth and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and but what's happening with you today? Any interesting things?
Um,
Um,
I actually have. So let's see. So obviously us right now, and then
mhm.
in 2 hours I have a podcast episode that I'm recording. Right now my dogs are going crazy. Again, real time, people.
Real time.
I have a class that I'm teaching later today, and then oddly, I have a session at 5 p.m. That's unusual for me. That's a late one.
That's late.
Yeah.
That is
That's
really
that's
late.
like a right, the client wanted my avails and I was like, yeah, I was like 5 o'clock's
Interesting.
free. They took it.
Are they in where are they at another
East
place
Coast.
in the world?
No,
Oh, okay.
East Coast. Well, okay, technically the studio is East Coast, the client is Central.
Okay.
So,
Well, that makes a
yeah,
lot more sense. Yeah.
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 But
That's
but
always
it'll be a quickie. It's a client I've worked with for a long time for a coffee chain
mm,
down deep south, Louisiana.
oh nice.
And which always makes me happy,
Yeah.
because I'm
Oh yeah.
such a coffee drinker that I'm like any association with a coffee brand just makes me so dang happy.
I know. That would be so much fun. I'd love to do some coffee stuff. Now that you mentioned that, wouldn't that be
You
great?
know? Well, but
That'd be
here's the
really
here's the
good.
rough part. Let me think about how long. I think I've been voicing for them for over 10 years.
Holy moly.
Ask me how many
That's
bags of coffee I've gotten, Anthony.
oh no. How many have you gotten?
None.
That's so
No
sad.
coffee for me.
That's
It's
just like,
okay.
it's always interesting with the client. That's very sad. Hopefully they'll see this and be like, we've got to get her some coffee. Um, I, you have those clients though who'll be like, hey,
Mhm.
we would love to send you one of
Yep.
our products. And I always think that's super cool.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's
You
always
know?
fun when that
Oh
happens.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things like and it's funny because I've had people send me coffee from other parts of the world and like other places, but yeah, never do. But I'm like, that's okay. You guys pay me, so it's fine. I can buy my own coffee with the money I'm making. It's okay.
No, absolutely. So I did mention it, but this is our we're the loose title is VO Journey Academy Live for
Mm,
these. And of course, we are from VO Journey. I mean, we do our own coaching as well, but we all teach at
yep.
VO Journey Academy, and so that's kind of what we're naming this at the moment. And
Yeah.
our hope is maybe down the road have guests come on and things like that. But to give you kind of idea of what our days look like, Gabby just talked about that. So today for me, I have some, and now, mind you, I do the same thing for jobs. A lot of times, this person just wanted the job immediately,
Mm,
and I wasn't able to do that. But a lot of times, I will even do the job with a bad voice, and I always tell them, look, and a lot of times they love it, and I always tell them, look, this is what it. Don't come back for revisions because it'll never sound like this again. It's when so I've always been one of those people who are like, I'm just gonna do it, let it go, or let it land where it lands, but
you
don't,
know,
it might not sound the same when you come back.
it's really funny you say that because I have had reference recordings that I've gotten from things that I've done while I was sick, and on in more than a few of them I've said, "Do you mind if I just re-record the whole thing?"
Mm,
And they're like, "Why
mm.
would you want?" And I'm like, "Because I sound like crap there, and
Oh
it's
my god.
never gonna match up." Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
Oh,
don't you ever listen?
we
Oh,
have a
go ahead.
fun question.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Here we go. Let's
which do you
see.
feel is better, quieter, liquid cooled computer or fans and computer located away from the booth? Interesting. So I actually have a liquid cooled um tower. Like my computer is a custom build based off of a gaming tower. And I'm gonna tell you something. That liquid cooled is not quiet.
Mm,
You can hear the you can hear it move. You can now it's comparatively, right, it's not as loud as a fan,
right.
but yeah, you can absolutely hear the liquid moving in the system. So I'm like, just get it away. Just separate it out.
Hmm.
I don't ever want my gear
Oh yeah.
immediately, or the gear that has the potential to make noise anywhere near the microphone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually I like solid state cores
Mm,
now the best because they don't make noise.
mm,
Um, you know, the of course they're in newer things, and I'm not sure how much they are. I know they're very prevalent in Apple products
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Mac. But yes, I would recommend if you can get it out of everything out of where you're recording. Here's another
Yeah.
thing I love to use. I know Gabby's got headphones on right now, but I love to use monitors
Oh yeah,
to edit with
for sure.
because I found that for whatever reason, this is just me, but headphones, I always feel like I sound so horrible in headphones, and maybe it's a cue, I don't know, but I don't think so.
No,
But
there's
but I
yeah.
just so I was like I did away with headphones, use that, but because of that, they're powered. They're
Mhm.
basically powered speakers, so they're always going to have a they're just that's what it is. There's electricity flowing through them. So the more stuff you have in there, the more noise it's going to make. So the
Mhm.
best thing is to try to get it out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Um,
The I just I control everything through wireless mouse and keyboard.
mm.
And it's great. And then I have a separate screen. Yeah.
So how often do you change your liquid coolant, Gabby? Or do
Are
you
you
ever
supposed
change
to
it?
change your liquid coolant? Is it like an oil change? I don't know. That's a
Maybe that's why you sound you hear that
that's
it's
a
on empty.
that's a
It's gotta
really
please
funny
change the
question.
coolant. Yeah, I don't know. That is a
As
good
far
question.
as I know, it's a what do you call it? Like it's a
Well, yeah, just like
I know there's a name for this, but yeah, it's like a like it doesn't.
oh, I go away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good
It's a
question.
closed circuit of some, yeah.
So clearly you haven't changed yours.
Yeah,
Your-
yeah, yeah.
um,
But my tech guy, if it was necessary, he would have told
mm,
me long ago.
mhm, mhm. I do think that's so interesting too, just in general about things. Like I got a mic, was it last year, a tube mic, and I remember the guy telling me, the tubes only last for a certain period of time.
Mhm.
But it's interesting to know like how long and what are signs of it's going on. I think it's longer than a year, but it's also I think if you run it consecutively
Yeah.
because it has its own power source.
Right.
The microphone, that turns on and off. So I always turn it off. I don't leave it on. Whenever I leave it on and I accidentally forget, I'm like, oh, I've left on the mic. I'm afraid it's gonna break. Before I never shut off any of my, I never shut off any of my stuff. I just leave it on.
I never
Do you
do.
do
I'm the
you do you
worst.
leave on your stuff or
I'm
do
the
you?
worst.
Yeah, yeah.
I leave everything on. I am the absolute worst. It's yeah. Yeah.
That's a little tip to everybody. One thing you should shut down, and I do it so little, is your computer. You do want to shut it down. I mean, reset it something because it does. After a while, it'll start running slower, especially if you have older
Mhm.
ones. You know what I mean? And you'll be like, "Gosh, the stupid computer." Shut it down.
I shut
Let it
it down
reboot.
when I'm going out of town. I go,
Uh,
I'm going on vacation, you get to go on vacation. That's how I
no, absolutely. Yeah, that was something that happened because I recently had a computer just go kaput, and I had to
Oh
switch
yeah.
out. Yeah, I had to buy a new one. So
That was a shit day.
that was a really bad day. And when I found out in my area there was no computers because it was right after Christmas,
Oh god, that's
and
right. Didn't you have
so
to drive like 4
yes,
hours?
yeah, it was ridiculous. And I literally, it's like I told my wife and kids, I'm going on an adventure. I went back for a while, and I just because I had to for the closest place was big, and it's not like I live in a place where
No.
there's not a lot of stuff. I mean, I live right in the peninsula, so and then and even in Newport News, which is huge, Virginia, they didn't have. I mean, the Best Buys and none of them had the stuff. So
I remember that. We had a meeting
yeah,
that day. You had to cancel it. You were like,
oh, it's
I get
awful.
it.
It was awful. It was so bad because our computers are everything. Now I do have a Mac. Here's my wife does. I don't. My wife has a MacBook Pro, and but and I know a lot of voice actors use laptops. And when I go on a trip or something, we will bring our laptop. But I just I have big screens, and I can't imagine. I mean, I do. I work with a lot of voice actors who use smaller screens, but that is so tough as well to use a small
Yeah.
screen on a laptop. Of course, it's all doable. It's, I mean, of course, but it's so nice when you have a larger screen. So, anyways, I had taken my wife's laptop and kind of rigged it up so I could put all this stuff for it. Like, and you had to upload everything just to get through like
Mhm.
one day before I could get the computer. And I- when I gave it back to her, she was so angry with. She wasn't angry, but she's like, "Why is all this stuff booting and doing this and that? It won't. My computer won't work anymore." She said, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. I had to go and get rid of all the stuff because we use so many pieces of software that we don't take for granted. We take for
Yeah.
granted. And all the licenses, and you have to switch stuff, and so that was funny. But yeah, the computer's a big thing,
Yeah.
and it can change. I feel like the larger screens too that we use really take away from time spent clicking back and forth and doing this and that. Uh, that's changed my workflow even in my booth. So I have a 32 inch here and I have a 32 inch there. Some people use multiple ones.
Mhm.
Do you use
Yeah.
multiple screens?
I do. I do.
You do?
Yeah. Depends
Yeah,
on what I'm doing, but yeah.
yeah, no, I hear you. Hmm. So I'm not sure. Is it gr- uh,
Junior dog
junior
rider.
dog? Oh,
That's what I think it is.
junior dog rider. Okay, cool.
Junior dog rider.
From
Morning,
Austin. Hello.
Austin.
Yes, it is.
Sweet. Have a Torchy's taco for me. I love Austin.
I have never been to Austin.
Oh, you're missing out, man.
I definitely.
Just don't go in the summer.
Right.
You just melt. That's it.
We have some people down in Austin or somewhere in Texas. Let us know. We have to just make a trip. Let's make a trip. Go like through the state and stay with a bunch of people and just get an idea of like how because
Hey,
I've never
look.
spent time in Texas. That's the one place. I mean, I used to live in
Listen.
Arkansas for a short period of time, and we would
Okay.
go to like Texarkana or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but never into really into Texas.
This is only day one, man.
Mm,
Eventually, we will. Well, I don't know. We'll take this show on the road. We'll
mm.
go visit people. I don't,
That would
we'll
be
see
so
what
much fun.
happens.
We're coming from you. We're coming from some remote
We're
place,
coming for
and
you. We're coming to borrow your studio, is what we're doing.
have you ever have you know it's interesting about the studio. I have been thinking more and more of just on my property. I know we've talked. I know I mean, I love your the big dreams of studios, but I always thought about putting one in my yard, like a bigger one, where people could come and use it. I wonder how many people have
Yeah,
studios like that around. Like, do you think a lot of people have big studios like that?
no, but some large cities do.
Hmm.
I always loved the idea of a co-working creative space and,
Mm.
having, audio and video studios to rent. Some studios do it now with podcasts. I actually have a student right now. This is a trip. His local library, okay, has a recording studio in it with a flippin' U87. And
Wow.
I'm like, get out of it. He tells me all the time, he goes, Gabby, it books up like weeks in advance to get in
Really?
there. But I'm always like, get in there as much as you
You said
can.
this was in a library?
It's in a library. Yeah.
Huh.
Beautiful setup. They have an audio engineer on site, like if you need help with anything. Otherwise, they just kind of like pat you on the head and leave you alone. But
Wow.
I'm like, so you're telling me for free you can go practice on one of the most expensive mics? I
That's
love it.
amazing. That
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah.
And they have an audio engineer. I wonder what they like. I wonder what they can do.
I- it's pretty basic, but it's
Yeah.
mainly to help people who are just, trying to learn the basics and
I
podcasting.
work
So,
with a gentleman who just recently he bought a Studio Bricks podcasting booth.
mm-hmm.
So he's going to use it for his voiceover, but he's also it's a two-person booth with two sets of mics and everything in it. So he's going to also see if people want to book it to use for podcast.
Nice.
But I thought it was pretty cool. It comes with. I mean, I always thought those Studio Bricks look. Have you ever recorded in a Studio Bricks
I have not, but I know a
studio?
lot of people that have them.
Me too. They always look so cool.
They do.
To me, they always like
They do. They're
got that
definitely fun looking.
Lego kind of
Yeah.
construction to it. It always looks so neat to me. I've never been in one. I've always been in Whisper Room. But yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool, and I think that's a nowadays more than ever, right? It's a great thing to have. I've thought about it,
Yeah.
but it takes money.
Oh, for sure.
That's the thing.
So we're a little past a half hour. I
Yes, we
I think we
are.
gotta. I don't know. I think we saved some stuff for tomorrow. What do you
I
think?
think we do. I
All
think
right.
this has been
This
fantastic.
is fun.
Yeah, and it was thank you all so much for watching and being a
Yeah.
part of this. There's a bunch of links. We it's funny because what Gabby was saying about class later on today. We teach
Yeah.
all the time at VO
That we
Journey
do.
Academy as well. So there'll be links below. But it's wonderful seeing you guys. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Right? See you tomorrow. All right, you
Bye.
guys. Have a good one. Bye, everybody. All right. I believe.